The finder this morning says NDC digs EC saga. NDC digs own grave, declares Matanamidu as he blast Charlotte Osei for displaying incompetence and lack of leadership skills. 4 jailed for dumping waste at an authorized place, and $560 million bond cash to pay VR's debt to Ghana Gas. And President begins 6-day tour of Western and Central regions. The Ghanaian Times, Ghana Gas wobbles under $534 million debt, and the story says it faces liquidity challenges. Salaga hit by floods. The story is carried by the Ghanaian Times. The business, the 3% VAT exposes looters. The photograph of the chief, the man in charge of the Revenue Authority there, Mr. Kofi. NDC owes TV Gold others over 2016 campaign ads. Heritage is reporting, and government yet to decide on towing levy. That's according to the Transport Minister. The Punch says free IGP from government control, says Kodeo. And Founders Day, Mike Okwe stokes controversy. Sly shoots his mouth, fantasizes NDC topmost diadem. The Daily Statesman, lies, propaganda don't build nations. Professor Mike Okwe. And President storms the Nchobwasi today. The BNFT says Ghanaian owned economy key to government vision. Dr. Bawumia there talking. Those are the newspapers I have this one. My guest to do the talking, former member of parliament for the North Dye constituency, a member of the NDC, George Lowe. Good morning.
Good morning, Ray.
I hope you're great.
I'm good.
Thanks for your time. The second vice chair of the NPP, Nana Fredu Adjumuforiata, was expected to be in the studios with George Lowe. He was here. He says he's not happy at something he had with George, and so he has refused to sit with him on the set. Those of you who are watching, good morning once again. Let's begin from here, George. Now, this story from Kodeo is quite an interesting one because it's an issue that we keep talking about it. Page 8 of the story, let's quickly run through this. Free IGP from government control, says Kodeo. The Coalition of Domestic Election Observers has called on stakeholders to enact laws that will ensure the office of the IGP and other heads of state security agencies are independent of political manipulation. Kodeo further wants the leadership of the NPP and the main NDC to put together with the work together with the Ghana Police to disband all political vigilante groups. National Coordinator Abe Kofi Ahen said these at the media briefing where he stated that in the medium term, there should be a concerted effort among key election stakeholders to insulate the IGP from political interference across regimes and ensure such appointments are transparent and genuinely consultative. George, this is not new. There have been several calls to get the IGP insulated from government control, but is it possible under the kind of constitution we're running now?
Well, good morning, Bright. Good morning to our cherished viewers. Is it possible? It is. It is. In actual fact, right, I take a totally different view about legislation and its attendant embellishments. I have always said that, as has been demonstrated in other jurisdictions, when you act extremely professional, you don't need anybody to control you. The police have their rules of engagement. They have an act that establishes them. They have their do's and their don'ts. They have their professional conventions and all the things that help them. When you sit in that office as an IGP, you should understand that you're a professional police person. And therefore, if you bring professionalism to bear on your everyday activities, I don't think that you'll be controlled from anywhere. But looking at the structure now, you can also say that an IGP should be left on his own to do anything the way he wants. There should be, that's why they have the police council, chaired by the vice president. So he only receives instructions from the police council. The police council is made up of various groups.
Chaired by the vice president.
Yes. You know, so really, in one vein, yes, there can be broad control as to procurement, as to all the other things. But when it comes to professional police decision making, I think that you as IGP, where you sit, every minute of the day, your professionalism should guide you. It's sad, Bright, though, that sometimes what is happening in the service itself does not give the IGP the control that he needs and the level of independence that they need. How many times haven't you, as a journalist, how many times haven't you got friends who will tell you that, oh, I belong to this party, Charlie, these people, they are doing this. But that shouldn't happen in our police service. Police service are supposed to be just Ghanaians, citizens. They will have their political persuasions, but their profession doesn't even demand that they identify themselves with any political persuasion for that matter. But we find a situation where now even positions are determined along political lines. Even postings are determined along political lines, and that is the real bane of the service. Once we get a service that you are sent, irrespective of where you are suspected to be or whatever, you are sent to a particular area because you've demonstrated competence and capacity to deliver on the job. I think that would have less of these political attritions that we had, not only in the police service, but across many other sectors. Your
point is that professionalism is the way out.
It's the way out.
And that even though the president appoints the IGP, if he or she is professional enough, we won't see that kind of influence?
No, the president appoints the IGP, the president appoints the EC board, the president appoints the chief judge, the president appoints several people. And I'm saying that when you go sit in that chair, you are guided by the dictates and ethics of that office. You know. So you would not be expected, as it were, to say that, well, the service rules say Bright should do A, B, C, D as a police officer. And this is the way to go. Only for somebody to call and say, oh, no, for this one, disregard service rules. It doesn't work that way.
So you doubt that, despite your professionalism, whoever appointed you could influence the way you do things? Is that what you doubt?
You see, it's not about doubt and influence. I'm saying that what stops you nicely from explaining to the person that, you know, the rules do not allow this one. And I'll give you one practical example in recent times. You remember this, President Akufo-Addo is alleged to have appointed one of the former MPs as a road fund boss. He said he told the president, Mr. President, I'm sorry, but this is not the way they appoint to this office. He's being professional and sincere and ethical. He knows the rules that if you want to be, he knows the rules that road fund manager or whoever is in charge of road, administrator of the road fund. Yeah, he's an administrator of the road fund. The way to appoint is there. So if you don't follow, and then they put you there, somebody will come and remove you.
Kodeyo's argument is that, for instance, this country has been unable to deal with political vigilantism because the various IGPs who have been appointed have been handpicked by the president in what we refer to as so-called in consultation with whoever, such that that person becomes an appendage of the Flagstaff House. And so a particular government in office, members are misbehaving, and that IGP can't act because those members who are misbehaving belong to the party which leader picked him to become the IGP.
Yeah, you see, right,
so he's a professional.
You see,
but he can't act.
Yes, but you see, that is the point, because we look at things in this country from a very simplistic perspective. Has the IGP, in spite of all the challenges you have with control, has he also sat down with his line managers, or what they call their head office administrative board, and sat down and said, okay, can we draw a roadmap? Can we draw a proposal to government to assist them deal with this situation in terms of disbanding, and we can be in charge of it? It's not a matter of, hey, we are disbanding, you go home. That is our attitude to solving problems. When they say disband, that means that there's a riot act has been read. Hey, everybody, henceforth, don't do this. And that's how we've dealt with these vigilante problems all through. You don't solve a problem like that. People who have been practicing something for a while, and they take, pride in it. When you want to deal with it, you must have a comprehensive roadmap. You don't just take them off there and leave them to go home. There might be other avenues where you can deploy them. And then there's also the debriefing. They should be met, their leaders must be met, they must be told why they have to be disbanded and made to understand the situation. But the way we approach it, where, leave them, it doesn't help us. And not for only the ruling party, but all parties that have vigilante groups. The police should have by now had a comprehensive document as a roadmap to see how we disband. But when we go on air and every day, we get the opportunity to be interviewed by journalists who said, we are going to disband them. How many times haven't we heard that? Pre-election, post-election. Every now and then you see one police couple coming out and say, look, we will deal ruthlessly with them. Kudalo had said it is gone. Mr. Pietri is here,
all over,
and he's likely to go from what we are hearing. Another person will come and then we'll hear similar things and nothing happens on the ground. But we must get a roadmap to assist the political parties. Find ways of because if you don't even find ways of ensuring that political parties feel secured in themselves, they will continue to harbor this idea of we need to have our own protection. But if the police move into any situation, they are firm and fair, I think that we would see a forward march in those areas.
All right, I'm grateful. Let's move to the Ghanaian Times this morning. McMenu refused entry into Kenya. Mr. Peter McMenu, campaign manager of the ruling NPP for the 2016 general elections, who was leading a team of Democratic Union of Africa international observers to Kenya, has been denied entry into the country. Mr. McMenu has since returned to Ghana, was among a number of foreigners deported on arrival at the East African country, which is holding a keenly contested general election this week. His deportation is said to be linked to his role as an honorary chairman of the DUA, an umbrella body of center and center-right parties in Africa, which includes some opposition parties in Kenya. James Oringo, chief agent of Kenya's National Super Alliance, a coalition of opposition parties, was quoted in reports as describing the deportations as part of an agenda for the Kenya government to get rid of foreign compatriots who could help the opposition to win power. Mr. Oringo named two other foreign compatriots, John Aristotle Phillips, an American, and Andreas Katsouris, a Canadian, as those among the deportees. Phillips is the chief executive officer of Aristotle Incorporated, a Washington-based data mining firm and political consultancy, while Katsouris is the senior vice president of that same company. Now, George, could this trigger a diplomatic row between Ghana and Kenya?
Why should it? Mr. McMenu is not an official of state. He's not a diplomat. He's not an official of state. He's going there on as the honorary chairman of DUA or something.
The Democratic Union of Africa.
Yes, DUA. So why should there be a diplomatic row?
He's a citizen of Ghana.
Well, he's a citizen of Ghana, but he's not acting. He wasn't leading a delegation of Ghanaians there. Or was he sent by the state? Ghana did not send him there. I
don't know if his chairmanship of the GPHA board makes him part of the government.
Yeah, but the business for which he was going to Kenya had nothing to do with GPHA. So really, I don't see how and why there should be a diplomatic role. And I think that it's within the rights of the Kenyan government to determine who goes in there and who comes out. You know, and if they have their genuine suspicions, I think that they will take action. And as the story goes, he's not the only one.
Right.
Yes, I mean there are other nationals from other countries who were also deported. But you see, right? I mean, I would not want to gloat in the fact that he a political opponent, but you see, Shakespeare said it. I mean, it was said in Shakespeare long ago that the evil that men do will live after them.
How do you?
If you read since the story broke out, if you read all the angles of the story, it has to do with his role in the Ghanaian election, and also the fact that it has been traced to the Nigerian election, it has been traced to other elections in Africa, where this group of people seem to use whatever maybe I would choose to call it whatever negative means they can find, to help people win elections. And I'm sure that Kenya is learning from the Ghanaian experience, because all these things, the same things triggered here in Ghana. But I think that the Ghanaian government at the time thought that, let's just handle it quietly. And it didn't help. I mean, we had all sorts of issues. And also, when you have a party where senior members are coming to tell you that we know how we won the election, if you misbehave, I'll tell the public how we won the election. It couldn't have been a positive light. Because why should people be threatened with how we won the election if it were won fair and square? And now that it's turning out that they were the same people behind the winning of Buhari in Nigeria, and then there were other countries that were mentioned. So Kenya is not taking it lying down. We had the opportunity, remember the Serbians, remember the South Africans, remember all the other people that came. In actual fact, MPP prides itself in bringing somebody from NASA to come and do their IT manipulations and things like that, at which he has been appointed into a public office. And so why? With hindsight, everybody's, we are in a global village. People are watching keenly from across the globe. And so Kenya will not sit down for people they consider undesirable elements so far as their elections are concerned, for you to come in. So it's within their rights. Is
it also not possible that perhaps we might look at them as working at stopping certain irregularities from happening? That's why they are not wanted in these countries?
All the things that I have read, all the information that I have, if I pin them together, vis-a-vis what has happened here in Ghana. Remember that even in Ghana, at a point, the EC itself came out to say, look, even our systems, when we put in figures, we get wrong figures being churned out. Now, you see the background of some of the people who are said to have come there. People are data experts and things like that. Immediately the results were declared. Champagne was popped and poured on somebody in Ghana because they said he was an IT guru who came and used his skills to manipulate the elections on their behalf. So I think that whatever it is, I think that Kenya is, the Kenyan government has their security network, they have their intelligence, and if it tells them that, look, you are not secured with people like Mr. McMahon and others entering your system, well, if I were Uhuru Kenyatta and I have to make a decision, I'll chuck them out.
I'm grateful. But let's quickly stay on the Kenyan issue for a few more minutes before wrap. I mean, tomorrow is a day for them. 10 years ago, it happened. It was an election. It was disputed. There was mayhem. There was chaos. They managed to pull through. Court affirmed the winner. Then again, in 2013, there was another election which Kenyans pulled through. But let us look at this. 2017. From what the picture we're seeing, is Kenya able to once again pull through?
Well, we can only hope so. Already, there are disturbing trends on the ground. Remember recently, the director of IT at the Electoral Commission was found dead. People's homes have been ransacked. Several things are happening on the ground. It's not something that you want as a precursor or a prelude to an election. But I think clearly Kenyans must have learned their lessons several years ago when they had that unfortunate challenge after the elections. So I am confident that having learned those lessons, they will not want to go back there. The state will do everything and takes every decision that will secure the elections. That after the elections, by now there should be early warning
signals,
detection signals, and then of course there should be a plan A and a plan B as to how to rein in any unfortunate incident that may happen should there be an issue. So I am counting on the Kenyan government to, as it were, deal with this thing their own way and ensure that the best,
Does it then, for instance, what exactly should Kenyan authorities do by way of making sure that at least we see another peaceful election?
You see, security is key in this matter. I think that every security plan must be put in place, to ensure that the security agencies are at every nook and cranny of the Kenyan state, where they can quickly move in and quell any misbehavior that would turn up. And then, for several days after the election, the security should continue to police every community and ensure that riot does not escalate into full-blown confusion and have rippling effects from one community to another. It's not all communities. If they're able to, as we did in Ghana, if you're able to identify flashpoints, and put up contingency plans for those flashpoints, I'm confident that, they will pull through this time.
All right.
And of course, they've also learned the great way of resolving their political conflicts in court. And I believe that should also guide them to know that at the end of it all, you can also use the courts to get results.
All right. Let's take a quick break here. When I come back, I'll tell you who is here to replace the second vice chair of the NPP in the Eastern. We'll come back right after this.
Welcome to the Middle Belt, proudly dominated by the bustling life of the Ashanti region. So what's Sunday life like on the eve of the GMB 2017 auditions? There's religion in the air, side by side with culture festivals on the street. But all eyes are on the ladies vying to represent the Ashanti region for GMB 2017. It's gonna be something Ashanti.
I'm so excited right now. I can't wait to see the beautiful ladies.
Once again, we are redefining beauty to promote national unity. Who will rep your region?
Hello, Bono Blood, and we know no.
GMB 2017, straight out of Ghana. GMB, the journey to the crown. At this time, only on TV3.
Ghana's Most Beautiful, brought to you by Sasso Insecticide Spray and Coil. Camel, now from Carex. Bond Savings and Loans. Carnival Strawberry. Madar Powdered Soap. Enapa Mackerel. Onga Tablet and Seasoning. GTP, still timeless. Tabia Herbal Mixture. Remy Spices. Tinatet Vencare. Royal Drinks. Holy Trinity Spa and Health Farm. And Time Herbal Mixture.
Thanks for staying there for us. My second guest, who has come in to replace the second vice chair of the NPP, Nana Frederick Mufuriata, is Sakasalia. He's a member of the NPP's communication team. Good morning.
Good morning.
Grateful for you joining us. We have touched on Mr. McMenu's issue. We have also touched on the issue of the need to get the IGP away from political influence, suggesting that we should allow him to be appointed away from the presidency. But let me quickly pick your thought on these two and then we'll move on. The suggestion is that get the IGP's appointment, take it away from the presidency. It will make him more effective. What do you think?
Yeah, thank you very much. Currently, as it is, I think that in reality, if the IGPs that we have in the past and even the present one were to be professional as it ought to be, they would not be under the apron string of the president or under the dictate of the president.
No matter who appoints them?
No matter who appoints them, because I mean, clearly they are supposed to be independent. They only are part of the National Security Council or the police council, and therefore take decision there. But when it comes to the domain of the, the police force, the tower above everybody in terms of the decision that they bring on board and all that, and therefore, when it's therefore difficult for anybody to believe the situation as it is now and before, that most of the IGPs are mostly, under the dictates of the ruling government, and that culminated in a lot of chaos that we've witnessed in the past, where people go on demonstration and you see the police force visibly, I mean, in opposition to what the demonstrators are doing, whether genuinely or not. I think it's a good call. We have to reinvigorate their psychic. Let them know that even though you've been appointed by a certain government, your loyalty is not because it's just by the dint of the constitution. It's the constitution that says that that person should appoint you. But after that, that should be all. You owe him or her nothing. But it's like the loyalty has gone beyond professionalism. People think that they are now accountable to the president of the day. And that is what is fueling all these things that we are talking about. And I'm pretty sure that if we get other innovative means and of really appointing an IGP, it's a good call. But the danger is, getting an IGP that will not be in sync with the ruling government, and you can see you can see the national security that can pose. Especially if such a person also has a tenure of security. Normally they have until they go on the retirement. They have, but there is a wisdom in the current arrangement, and we should try to, fashion ways and means of towing the middle line.
Okay, I'm grateful. Then Mr. McManu's refusal into Kenya, some have suggested that, well, it should not cause any diplomatic row. Is that what you think too?
No, it should cause. I mean, especially when there is any founded reason. I mean, the reason for his repatriation, mind you, is not a deportation.
Right,
because he was refused entry, so it's repatriation. The reasons are completely unfounded and unfortunate. To say that the person knows too much. I mean, this is the first time I have heard that because of your knowledge, because of the store of knowledge that you have, and that you can bring those things to bear, because of that, don't come near our elections. I mean,
it's not. Is it positive knowledge?
Yeah, it's positive knowledge.
That's what
positive knowledge. Because according to them, the biometric system that we are using is the same. That is almost the same that the Kenyans are also using. And with the victory of the MPP in Ghana, it means that, and he was a campaign manager, and we all know the leading role that he played in that election and all that. So, I mean, the Shivers is already sending down their spine. They think that he is coming there to do something that will not inure to their benefit, and therefore would have to do what they did. But I think that he was not there to take part in the election or to go into, deep, part of the election. He was only there to observe. And in observing, you only observe. I mean, you don't take parts. You don't give suggestions and all that. You observe, you look at what is happening, and at the end of the day, you come up with your reports, whether or not the elections, were transparent and free and fair. But to say such a person has a lot of knowledge, he has a store of knowledge that, if you allow him, it can bring about certain changes in I mean, it's quite unfortunate. Because this is not the first time.
What they think is negative knowledge from what you're saying. They think that what he knows will negatively affect the polls.
It cannot, because like I told you earlier, he is not going to take part or give suggestions or whatever, or dictate to anybody, or bring loopholes, and then, he is only to observe. Like we have some people standing and listening to what we are doing now. They have no any input. They only observe and give reports. It's because the exposure. You see, some people, fear exposure because they fear that people should not know what is happening. I remember even Ghana here. I mean, sometimes when they are going to be a league match, there are certain teams that would not want the match to be shown live because they want to do something fishy, and therefore want everything to be in secret and all that. So I am pretty sure that is a reason. They don't want him to come out with a report because he belonged to the Democratic Union of Africa, and he's a chairman for that matter, and therefore needed to be there. And because the other opposition members are also in that, because it's a center-right political, movement that people converge and then they then go to various countries. He has been to even Kenya in 2011. He has been to so many other places, and we have not heard him of any, thing that he has done that is on the way to warrant what they did to him.
What action will government take then if you said it should trigger a diplomatic row?
Yeah, I mean, we are expressing our displeasure and disquiet about the treatment meted out to him. It's really being a Ghanaian, and for that matter, one of the most knowledgeable personalities of this country. It's an affront to democracy in Africa. I mean, some of us thought with the ravages of time, because we have moved on as a nation and as Africa, in our democratic experiment. And therefore, one would have thought that he would have been accepted and, welcome.
The Kenyans don't have the right to decide who enters their country?
No, they have the right to do whatever they want, but it should be on founded grounds. I mean, they should have reasonable reason for doing what they did. But to say that the person is so knowledgeable, and therefore we want only ignorant people to be observers, I think that is quite unfortunate, and therefore it must be condemned in all certainty.
Okay, all right. George, I hope you heard him. He thinks that...
Well, those are interesting points he makes. I think that I haven't heard anywhere that the reason for which Mr. McMenu and others have been asked to leave the country is because they have wealth of knowledge. In actual fact, they are, if you listen to the BBC, he says they were considered undesirable elements for the people, and that is their reason. We cannot ascribe a reason to them. Like I said, Kenya is a sovereign state. They have a right to take a decision on anybody, even including diplomats, right? Recently, America has asked Russians to leave. Russians have asked Americans to leave.
Right.
It is within their right. Anybody who comes within your territory and you think that that person will not inure to the general benefit of the people of Kenya, must be treated the way Mr. McMenu has been treated. I mean, it's within their rights, and we can say and shout all we like. The great thing is that the man is back, and
yeah, actually, we need him.
He has been. The thing is that he's back, and there's nothing anybody can do about it. We can shout all we like. We can give all the reasons, but Kenya, so far as they are concerned, consider him an undesirable element at this time, and therefore they don't want him within their jurisdiction. And that is it. And that is how it will remain till the elections are over.
All right, I'm grateful. Daily Graphic this morning says Speaker stirs controversy over Founders Day lecture. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, has stated that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah cannot be credited to be the sole founding father of Ghana, since the struggles for independence were started by other prominent Ghanaians. He said the UGCC leaders fashioned independence struggle, and Dr. Nkrumah came later through invitation of UGCC leaders and added significantly to the struggle. This was at a lecture on the 70th anniversary of the formation of the UGCC in Accra. That was on last Friday. Now, the anniversary celebration of the formation of UGCC on August 4, 1947 had been met with criticism, especially from the Convention People's Party, who felt that the celebration was an attempt to downplay Dr. Nkrumah's contribution towards the independence struggle. The CPP saw the celebration as an attempt to challenge the founding status of Dr. Nkrumah. The story goes on and on and on, but let me begin with you. So, this controversy about who actually founded Ghana, is it needed?
Well, I mean, it's so difficult sometimes to talk about this, that it is a controversy. It's not a controversy. I mean, it's not a controversy in the sense that we all know the contributions of those forebears. I mean, those before us. We know who actually even started to do what. You remember our 60th anniversary parade when Nanado's speech. Nanado did not just come and then eulogize one person. He even did not even start with the UGCC. Started with even the contributions of the lives of, you know, the Queen Mother of Ejisu and even the Bond of 1844, those who played leading role and all that. Therefore, it is not a controversy for anybody to say that, oh, let's single out one person because he was a Superman. I mean, it does not make sense to me.
Was there no leader?
I'm coming. At what point?
In the march to independence?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, at the point of independence, we had somebody who was a leader.
There was no leader clearly, in the struggle? Clearly,
the struggle did not start with Kwame Nkrumah. We all know that. We all know the UGCC, it's through the instrumentality of the UGCC that Nkrumah even came here. They brought him, they invited him, even though he was doing certain things in America and Pan-Africanism. Because they sat down and then used their ingenuity and said, okay, there's a Ghanaian here who can help in our struggle. They brought him, they paid him, they fed him, and they accommodated him. At a point, he decided to go solo. And that did not also mean that the UGCC, after Nkrumah went solo, went to sleep. They struggled with him.
They were not interested in other businesses apart from independence?
Pardon?
They weren't interested in other businesses apart from independence?
They were interested in, you know, liberation of the Ghanaian. That was the most important thing. And you cannot liberate Ghana at that time if you were not resourceful. And they gathered, they ensured that they brought on board people who were very resourceful, who could fight, who could take the fight to the Europeans. And they wanted other people who were radical, who can be, you know, a full-time, you know, worker or general secretary. And that was the reason why they brought Kwame Nkrumah. If Kwame Nkrumah could have rejected it, but they made sure that the terms were so good to be refused. And he took the terms and then he decided to work for them. But in the course of time, you know, certain things happened and he decided to go alone. But that did not mean that he founded Ghana. Indeed, on independence, even when the motion of destiny was moved, I mean, they were the opposition then who actually seconded it. And maybe there was no seconder, it could not have, you know, be taken into consideration and all that.
Is this not the same opposition that said that Ghana was not ready for self-rule?
No. When you say that you want independence within the shortest possible time, the shortest possible time could even be shorter than now.
It could also be 500 years.
Yeah, but yeah, I said could. It could be shorter than now.
But he said therefore that we now.
No, you see.
So is he not the one who led got it?
When the vote for independence happened, it was not only the CPP that was voted for. Even the UGCC was also voted for. Unfortunately, the UGCC did not win. And therefore, the leader of the CPP became the
Dr. J.B. Dankwa lost several elections. So how then do we credit him with being a founder of Ghana?
No, you see, being a founder doesn't mean somebody who won an election. You see, if you say that somebody has won an election because of that, he is a founder. I mean, oblivious of the fact that there were other people whose efforts, not just effort, whose ingenuity and hard work accumulated in the independence struggle, in the independence itself. You remember the 1948 riots and then the contributions of the
lives of, you know, and the rest.
All of them. They are the unsung heroes of our independence.
That is not in doubt. But the argument is that there was a leader who led these people.
No, that leader becomes our first president and not the founder.
let me put this question to George.
Kwame Nkrumah is the first president of Ghana.
I'll come back. So,
yes.
George, so we cannot say he's a founder because he only led people to independence, and so he's only a first president, not a founder. That's the argument.
If he should be a founder, the others are also founders, and therefore we have founders and not founders.
Okay, let yes. George take that.
When I hear these arguments, my only disappointment is that sometimes it comes from people who has the opportunity and the capacity to understand these things and put out the true facts. It looks like one side of a political divide, the Dankwa Buzia tradition, have never accepted that they failed where Nkrumah succeeded. That is one. And that is why when Nkrumah was overthrown, the tendency was that let's make sure we erase him completely from the history of this country. Remember, it was a crime to even own books written by Nkrumah at the time. Books were removed from libraries and burnt. All was in an attempt to ensure that Nkrumah never got the pride of place that he deserved. So I was excited when the whole of the world said he was a man of the millennium. And there's nothing anybody can do about that. Let me just start it from there. But, Bright, you have been to school. You've read your primary school books, haven't you? We all went to school. I did history, and you've read all the histories of this world. Who didn't hear about Pragrant? Who didn't hear about all the other people? Did anybody hide their identities? Did anybody hide the role they purportedly played towards the run to independence? But you see, truth must be told, and truth is only one. Right? How do we found a nation? Why? Who says that all the people we say, oh, the founder of this place is maybe Yao Kwatin? It only means that when Yao Kwatin moved here with his brothers, he was the one who was the leader of the group that brought us here and made sure we stayed here and provided for and all those things. It didn't mean that Yao Kwatin was the only person who came here.
Right.
Other than that, we would have even said Adam and he founded the world. You see, those are simplistic, non-important, less important things that we should be talking about. We are in a country where everything is not working right. And I would have thought that intellectuals and people in high places would be committed to ensuring that we resolve our issues. 60 years down the line, we want to obliterate history and change history. We want to deceive young children, school children, and put out facts that are not there. I mean, I'm ashamed that the world will be reading up today that somebody is disputing Nkrumah's leadership of this country. It is embarrassing. So, sincerely, to some of us, extremely embarrassing.
Has somebody disputed it?
The Speaker of Parliament, for instance, thinks that he's not the founder. He's one of the founders.
You see, exactly. Let me tell you what. Do you remember the important Supreme Court ruling when Jerry Rawlings' citizenship came up? They said what? Whoever was in this country in 1957,
it's a Ghanaian.
When we transited from Gold Coast to Ghana, it's a Ghanaian. At that defining moment, who led us to that important? Is it not Dr. Kwame Nkrumah? So what is anybody talking about? Has anybody said background didn't play a role? Have you heard it anywhere that even the CPP have said that? Have CPP denied that it was the big six who invited Nkrumah? Has anybody said it was not true that they invited Nkrumah to come?
No, that's a fact.
That's a fact. Nobody have denied them. I'm saying that at all material times. Why? When NDC says Jerry Rawlings is the founder of NDC, it means that only Jerry Rawlings woke up one morning and said, I found a party, it's called NDC, before people started joining. Or that it will be at a meeting where there are other people who were signatories to the thing, Alhaji Yusuf Ali, and all those other people. So we should all say that NDC, we wanted a founder. And we are saying that to the extent that when it mattered most, the UGCC tradition did not agree with Nkrumah on when we should be liberated. So he is the father of our liberation. He is the founder of the state of the country of Ghana. Yes, UGCC may have played their role during the Gold Coast and things like that. When it comes to Ghana, Nkrumah led that, both you Nkrumah, Komrad Bedema and others, led that defining moment.
Has the country been ungrateful to the likes of Pa Grant and JB Dankwa, those who supported Nkrumah to
How
get
can we
Ghana?
be ungrateful when we have a Dankwa circle? When we have an Akwaje interchange?
So that's all.
When we have a BJB Lante circle? I mean, how can we be ungrateful when we have monuments to celebrate them? How can we say we are ungrateful when they are replete in our history books? How can we say we are ungrateful when we mention them? In fact, they are on our national currency. How can we be ungrateful?
Sakasela, what more can we do? You said we should recognize the other founders. And he has just told us. They are monuments. We have them. They are on our currency. What more should we do so that we bring them at par with Nkrumah?
No, people are not saying that they should be at par with Nkrumah. You cannot take the contribution of Kwame Nkrumah away. Or you can't wish it away, because it's a historical fact that he was our first president. He was the one that moved the motion of destiny. He contributed a lot, and like he's saying, he was voted by BBC, listeners as the African of the millennium and all that. So we know his pride of place. But I'm saying that when it comes to the founding fathers of Ghana, that one, he cannot be alone. I mean, you cannot say that because
It's not debatable issue.
Yeah, that is the reason why I said that it's not controversial at all.
There is that,
because
the seeming thing is that Nkrumah is seen to be put on top, and that it's not good enough. That's what's
no, that is not easy. Nkrumah can be, the greatest, but I'm saying that there are other people that played major role, even to the extent
who
that
are recognized.
I mean, not
So
just by recognition, but I'm saying that when it comes to the founding role, you cannot take away the contribution of Edward Akufo-Addo, JB Dankwa, Pa Grant, and co. Because if they had not started it, if they had not carried it through to the end, Kwame Nkrumah contribution would have paid into insignificant. He could not have even gotten independent for us.
Should we bring in Ya Santua, like you mentioned, the Ghana chief who led the route?
Their error. That is the reason why I'm saying that they, did something before their demise towards, the liberation of the African and Ghanaian as a whole. But I'm saying that the JB Dankwas, the Pagrants and co., their contribution was sustained till we got independent.
Okay.
They contributed, they brought the person that became the first president of this land. And they ensured that he was paid, he was accommodated, he was fed, and all that. Till we got independent. And did not even stop from there.
Not till we got independent.
Yes, till we got independent.
No, he broke away from them and they were not paying.
But that is the reason why I'm saying that.
So I'm saying I don't say that till we got
independent. Till we got independent.
Okay.
No.
I am saying that.
Nkrumah departed
please.
And that became the defining moment of Ghana.
Because they wanted multi-party, a democracy then.
And that Nkrumah had never opposed multi-party.
I mean, Nkrumah became.
We are talking about became.
But I'm saying that.
We are talking about the events that led to history.
Yes.
And stay with those events. We are not talking. Okay. The things that you
Let me get Johnny in to pick some comments and then we'll come back. Johnny, good morning once again.
Senior Bright, thank you very much. Let's get into the chat room. And on WhatsApp, it's buzzing. Aziz Donline says, Ghanaians talk a lot, but with very little action. The move by some workers to remove the head of the EC won't fly. Good morning to SK Bagbin. Alasan Wawanaiwa says this government has committed to support prudent initiatives aimed at increasing public access to safe water and improving sanitation. And anyone who wants to be named as founder should go and find undiscovered land and name it after himself. Amerigo says American.
I can't agree with him.
Good morning, TV3. Please, is it true that the MPP acting chairman Peter McMenu has been deported from Kenya? Please, if it's true, what was the reason behind the deportation? Ismaila Horo Ali in Nima is asking. Good morning, guys. Seems you are ranting internally about this History and Founders Day issue. I will blame the media, which are part. I believe you guys shouldn't have broadcast those unnecessary debates at all. You published it, and then some of us also make some noise about it, and it's bad. Well, there's very, very important issues to talk about this useless venture, rather than this useless venture. He said maybe it's a tactic by government to turn attention from other issues. William Bonny in Winnipeg. Hello, good morning, TV3. It amuses me when the NDC officials tend to become economic experts shortly after they are lost. We were all in this country when 8 years of NDC in power was full of high inflation, drastic loss of jobs in private sector because of doomsday, decline in fiscal deficit, poor agric output, city depreciation, poor management due to intense and clear corruption. They should give competent people space to act and learn in case they gain power any other time. Good morning, TV3, and good morning to the people of Wild West by Abonsuri Gariba Joseph. Thank you very much. He says he's Wild West vampire. Okay. Mohammed Astro in Damongo says, good morning, TV3, and to Ghana as well. As a matter of fact, Ghanaians at this point in time do not need to know who founded Ghana and all that. The livelihood of each Ghanaian matters. There were countless number of promises by Nana Addo and his crew during the 2016 election campaigns. And as we speak today, none of these promises are being fulfilled. Yet, you are there adding unnecessary issues. Ghanaians have regretted already for casting their votes for Nana Addo and the MPP. Makamini in the UK says the deportation of Mr. Peter Makmenu by Kenya authorities has generated media discussion and is very unfortunate. And if this situation is not handled well diplomatically, then it will lead to a very fragile diplomatic row between the two countries. This unfortunate incident is about tremendous work that this astute campaign manager of the MPP did for the party in the 2016 election. Fast forward, it says Peter Makmenu is the upcoming election so that the government in power will not suffer the same electoral defeat of former President Mahama. Good morning, TV3 workers and all those who matter. I want TV3 to find out from the finance minister when is the government going to pay the 2013-2014 year teachers arrears that Controller Accountant General Department moved to the various regionals and districts to validate those teachers for the past 5 months now. Everything seems to be silent. That pumps fear into my heart, and we could also be the finance minister goes like the Senate contributors who suffered 2 or 3 months salary payment before the finance minister came out to apologize to affected workers. Yakubu Walewale, Ghanaian leaders will not manage the little time and resources around to take productive ventures, rather to invest heavily in unproductive ventures like founder of Independence, Ghana at 50 and the rest. What a scandal. A scandalous country we are in now. But Richard in Nangodi. And the last one, Wana comes back. Well, we've read out already. Gradually, this nation is sinking. Oh, the nation is going backwards. Nana Anoche in Kentin thinks so. Good morning, Bright and your team. My name is Isa Isaku, peace-loving advocate in Zabzugu. Okay, so this is a repeated message. Those who are bleaching are profaning their bodies. They should rather tattoo their body. This is uncured disease. Derek, you think necessary of two evils? Good morning to you all. I'm sensing danger in the Galamsey task force. If care is not taken, more illegal Galamsey operators are going to be killed before the government can stop the Galamsey. Is that what we want in this country? So now any other way to stop this Galamsey than to kill our youth in order to stop Galamsey? God have mercy on us. And good morning, Senior Bright and Johnny. Please, I'm reminding you guys that today is my birthday. I'm Bright inside Doma is Bright. Happy birthday to you. We are reminded accordingly. We have taken judicial notice. Good morning to you all. I like your comments this morning about the EC boss. It's true that we should not politicize everything in this country. Remember to the government that they have serious issues to discuss, not founder or founders day. I like you, Mr. Bright, Don Maestro from Sakumana. And help me ask this question. How will this founder matter solve the gigantic predicaments in our lovely mother Ghana? You're asking. Good morning, TV3 crew. You guys are doing a great job. Please, I want you people to kindly tell the president and his MPP team to kindly reinstate those people they sacked at the DVLA offices nationwide. They claim to create jobs for people, to employ people. Now you're sacking to increase unemployment. Mr. President, we're Ghanaians and not foreigners. We need to be reinstated now. Vitus from Nanta. And finally, good morning, Johnny. I personally agree with you. MPP would have done this country a great service if they had paid all public sector workers who suffered from 3 months pay policy before talking about this Founders Day. People are hungry, so they should give us a break. Fisbury in Kwamoso. Senior Bright.
Johnny, I'm grateful.
Thank you
for your time. And Doma is Bright. Good, happy birthday once again. Let's wrap up already. We've hit the top of the hour. George, let me give you just a few minutes to wrap up on this whole issue.
Well, I think that
Just a few seconds, I'm
Yes,
told.
I think that government, if I were them, would be more focused on dealing with the issues of today and forget about who was the founding father or the founding son or the founding daughter of this nation. Those are well cast in history, what role everybody played. And I think that it's waste of resources, it's waste of everybody's time, energy, and everything, talking about founding fathers of Ghana. I think that we've eulogized people who've contributed. They will continue to remain part of our history. And it's important that our history remains accurate. The attempt from time immemorial to bastardize our history is not in the interest of this country.
Right.
And so I think that we have many more problems to talk about. This morning I'm hearing that Chad, for instance, is moving towards cash and carry again. Our national health insurance seems to be collapsing, and the government should get up and deal with it. Those are the things that we want government to fix. That is why I believe that Ghanaians gave them the opportunity, and they should stop talking about Founders Day and it attempt.
All right.
First of all, I think that, you see, when topic come and then somebody say that, oh, leave that one and talk about something else. It's not as if because we are commemorating the August 4th, because you remember August 4th was the UGCC was actually founded and all that. I'm coming every year, even whilst in opposition, we come out with, we commemorate that day. And 4th August happened to be the 70th milestone of that historic day. And therefore, we needed to celebrate that day. It does not mean that development has come to a standstill. What we are doing is just to commemorate the day and let Ghanaians know what is happening. That was the reason why it was part of the agenda of Ghana Assisted Commission. But I'm telling you that development is going on. Okay. I mean, look at what Nanado is doing. It will be in central and western region, and all these things is to ensure that we get our people to be in sync with what is happening in terms of development and expansion of our economy and all that. I am grateful.
Saka Salia is a member of the NPP's communication team. George Low is a member of the NDC, former member of parliament for the North Dartey constituency. Gentlemen, grateful for your Monday morning with us. And those of you who stayed out there to be part of the show, we're also grateful for your comments. Keep them coming. We'll read them in the course of the show. Up next is sports, and we'll tell you why Kumasi Asante Kotoko had to struggle to beat or to draw Accra Hearts of Folk. Stay with us.